Assalamualaikum and hi everyone. This is Form 4 KSSM, Chapter 1, Part 2. Our learning standard for this video, to investigate and make generalization about the effect of changing the value of a, b and c on the graph of quadratic function fx equals to ax squared plus bx plus c. The value of a determines the shape of the graph. The smile shape graph is for a greater than 0. For Z shape graph, the value of a is less than 0. One is what we learned from the previous video, part 1. For this part 2, we just look at the graph. The wider the graph, then the smaller the value of a, the wider the curve shape of the graph, and vice versa. Okay. How about if we change the value of b? The value of b determines the position of the axis of symmetry. We divide it into two parts. If a greater than 0 is a smile shaped graph, and b is greater than 0, then the axis of symmetry lies on the left of the y-axis. Okay, for b less than 0, the axis of symmetry lies on the right of the y-axis. If the b is equal to 0, then the axis of the symmetry is the y-axis. If a less than 0, it will give a Z-shaped graph here. If b greater than 0, then the axis of symmetry lies on the right of the y-axis. If b less than 0, axis of symmetry lies on the left of the y-axis. If b is equal to 0, then the axis of symmetry is the y-axis. Okay, the value of c determines the position of the y-intercept. So this is the value of y-intercept. Value of c determines the position of y-intercept. Have a look at example 2. The quadratic function fx equals to x squared minus 3x plus c passes through a point A as given below. Calculate the value of c for each of the following cases. Look at the solution. The point A, 0, 4 lies on the y-axis. Thus, c equals to 4. If I draw the graph, so the value of a is actually on the y-axis. So this is point A. So this is also the value of C, which is the y-intercept. For question B, substitute the value of x equals to -1. So this is the value of x. So substitute the value of x and also substitute the value of y. Y is actually the function fx. So fx substitute with 3 and the value of x substitute with -1. So here we can find the value of c. Have a look at example 3. The diagram shows two graphs of quadratic function y equals to fx and y equals to gx drawn on the same axis. State the range of the value of p and explain your answer. So this is gx, this is fx. Since the curve of gx is wider, thus the value of p is less than 3. For the graph with the shape smile, p is greater than 0. Thus, p is greater than 0 and less than 3. This is the range of the value of p. This is your homework, self-practice 1.1c. Next. A second learning standard, form quadratic functions based on situation and hence relate to the quadratic equation. How do you form a quadratic equation based on a situation? A quadratic function is written in the form of fx equals to ax squared plus bx plus c, while a quadratic equation is written in the general form ax squared plus bx plus c equals to 0. Try to guess my age. First, I multiply my age with my own age. Next, 21 times my age is subtracted from it. The result is 72. Have a look at example 4. Mr. Ganesan want to make two different types of card for mathematics club activities. The measurement of the card are shown in the diagram below. Form a quadratic expressions for the total area of the two cards A cm square in the term of x. So first, find the area of this card. What is the formula of area? Formula of area is width times length. So x times x equals to x squared. So the area of this card is x squared. How about this card? We use the same formula, x times 2x plus 1. So x times 2x equals to 2x squared plus x. So the total of these two area, so we just add x squared, this one for area A. So this is the area of B. So the total area equals to 3x squared plus x. Question B, the total area of the two cards is 114. Form a quadratic equation in terms of x. As I mentioned earlier, the quadratic equation must equal 0. So, the total area of two graphs is 144. Then, rearrange this equation so that we form the standard quadratic form. So this is your homework, self-practice 1.1D. Let's move on to the last learning standard for this video. Explain the meaning of root of a quadratic equation. What do you understand about the root of a quadratic equation? The root of a quadratic equation ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0 are the values of the variable x which satisfy the equation. Do you know how the root of a quadratic equation are determined? There are one or two values for the variable that satisfy a quadratic equation. The values of the variable that satisfy a quadratic equation are known as the root of the quadratic equation. What is the relationship between the root of a quadratic equation and the position of the roots? Okay, the root of a quadratic equation are the point of intersection of the graph of the quadratic function and the x-axis, which are also known as the x-intercept. So this is the root. The intersection of the graph and the y-axis. So this is the intersection between the graph and the y-axis. Example 5. For each graph of quadratic equation below, mark and state the root of given quadratic equation. As I mentioned earlier, the roots is actually the intersection between the graph and the y-axis. So, the root is here and here. So, the roots are -4 and 1.5. For B, the root is here and here. Remember, the root is the intersection between the graph and the y-axis. So the answer are -1 and 4. Example 6. Determine whether each of the following values is a root of the given quadratic equation. We want to determine whether x equals to 1 and x equals to 3 is a root of this quadratic equation. How to determine? Substitute the value of x. When x equals to 1, substitute the value of x, 1 here. You substitute the value of x with 1, then you get answer -2. Thus, x1 is not a root of equation because there is not the same value. When x equals to 3, you substitute the value of x with 3, then the answer becomes 0. So this is the same as the right hand side. Thus, x equals to 3 is the root of equation 2x squared minus 7x plus 3. Same goes to question B. Substitute the value of x with 1. The value in the right hand side is 3. When you substitute, you get 1. So this is not the same. So x1 is not a root. When you substitute the value of x with 1 over 3, 1 over 3 here, 1 over 3 here, then you get 3. Same with the right hand side. Thus, 1 over 3 is the root. Okay, this is your homework. Self-practice 1.1e. Don't forget to complete your homework. Thank you for now. See you in the next video.